All right, let's do this. Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Cariboo Hart TV podcast, episode 4. So, thank you for hanging out with me today on a little Saturday morning wake and bake. I don't know, can you guys hear that racket behind me? We got the little kitten acting like a menace, tearing the house apart back behind me there, uh, causing an awful racket. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up, but if you see me kind of doing that, it's because we got the little asshole cat back there destroying the house. Halford the cat, but we love him. Now, of course, we named Halford the cat after Rob Halford, the metal god. Took my son to see a Judas Priest concert. Not this summer. We just went through, obviously, everything. COVID had everything shut down. But the year before that, I took my son to see Judas Priest and Uriah Heep up in Prince George. And we got this rescue cat there a month or two ago and decided to name him Halford. So, Halford, the metal god. Because he screams like the metal god. So before I get too carried away here with stories that have nothing to do with cannabis whatsoever, if anybody's wondering what it is I'm smoking on here, it's a little platinum silk from in-house genetics that we've grown out. Very nice, very nice. We've not tried anything from in-house genetics that we haven't liked. So far, we've grown out the slurricane, the meatheads, the platinum silk now, and I've also got a Purple Punch 2.0 from them. That's just seedling stage right now, and everything we've tried from in-house genetics solid. So if you're looking for something to check out, I would recommend their Platinum Silk, Slurricane, Meathead, anything from in-house. And of course, you had to coat up paper with rosin. Gotta love having that Nug Smasher OG, man. I find that doing dabs constantly all the time, like it gets hard on the lungs after a while, right? You're just fucking always like that huge smoke, cloud of smoke coming out, and it roasts your lungs. So every once in a while, not even every once in a while, every chance I get, I like take a gob of rosin and just smear paper up with it, roll it up just like you would with an oil joint. And then just that the rosin just adds so much flavor to that joint and potency as well. That's my preferred method of smoking nowadays. So yeah, you get going on with those dabs, and it roasts your lungs after a little while. So it's nice to take a little bit of a break and just have a nice calm joint. And besides, it's fucking morning time anyways, right? You know, I've got my coffee going on. I got the Lucky Aerosmith. And I want to have that nice relaxing morning joint. You know what I mean? Sit here, wake up, kind of slowly get the gears turning, get my shit together, and it's the nice relaxing doobie instead of throw it in the dab rig, rip your face off, your lungs are collapsing like first thing in the morning. And let's face it, we've all done that a million times before. But it's just, hey, it's my day off. I want to take it easy. So how'd everybody's week go? I don't know about all you guys, but it's definitely looking like winter here in the Cariboo region of British Columbia. I work outdoors. I'm a tree cutter. I'm an apprentice utility arborist, and we go out. We cut trees. It doesn't matter what the weather's look like. It can be minus 35. It can be plus 35. Rain, snow. It is sunshine. It really doesn't matter. We're out there in it. So when we get the weather change and it's the snotty, gross, disgusting weather, I'll be the first to say there's about 3, 4 months of the year where I just really don't care for my job too much. What can you do about it? But um, even that being the case, I would still be working outdoors with my hands like that over sitting at a desk all day every day, and that's just nothing more than personal choice. Nothing against people with those types of jobs. It's I just I don't have the ability to sit there that long, and I would much rather be cold, wet, miserable, and freezing out than that frickin' disgusting white stuff outside. And then also due to this disgusting white stuff and weather change coming, well, this is the time of year that you can expect this to happen. But as a lot of you know, we've got that new veg space, veg mother area going on, and wired and running and all that. But it's still some insulating and some other tweaking, or I guess you could say, to do here and there to get it ready for winter so it'll stay warm enough. and it's just kind of running out of time and money. So I think what we're gonna do when the aquaponics table stuff is finished, and we'll get more on that later. But once that's finished, I think we're just gonna shut that room down and turn that back into a mother room veg area for the winter. You know, it's only 3-4 months that we'll have to go through that, and then we can worry about firing up the real mother and veg area. Maybe we'll have that ready to go so that when we do fire it up in the spring, that it's ready and we don't have to think about shutting it down again. We actually last winter we kind of fucked ourselves over a bit because um, we were actually using what is the aquaponics room now as a veg area, but it was the same kind of thing as where the veg area is now. It just wasn't properly insulated, and it just needed more work before winter and cold weather came. So we decided to shut that down and moved our veg area into this little cramped space where we didn't have enough room to actually veg our plants out properly. And we had 3 bloom lights going on, and we were trying to maintain a cycle of every 3 weeks we would flip a crop into under one of those lights. And that way, every 3 weeks you've got a crop coming at some point. It did work. It got us through the winter, but due to our small veg area, all of our plants that we were like our clones that we would be cutting were starting to get smaller and smaller, and then our veg plants would go from, let's see if we can get this on camera here, would go from being like this to this to this, and just kept getting smaller and smaller as we would the next flip would come, to the point where it would have been better just to have a bigger veg area so we could have vegged out bigger plants and just had bigger plants under a couple lights instead of trying to do it that way, and try to do like one light every 4 to 5 weeks instead of one light every 3 weeks. Uh, that's just a mistake we learned. So we're not going to make that same mistake again with the new veg area. We're just going to move it all into a properly insulated and heated area for the winter. All right, next up, let's move all along to a few shout outs. First off, I want to give a big shout out to Cariboo Garden Supply. Anytime I go in there asking stupid questions, they've got the answers for me. Whenever I need something, they've got the product I need. They're just a big help. They make my life easier, and I appreciate everything they do. And if anyone was wondering, no, this is not a paid advertisement so much, but in the fact that they don't actually pay me, but I do get a big discount whenever I go in there. So I've got a good relationship with them. If you go in there and start giving them your hard-earned money, then giving them your business, then I'm sure they'll start hooking you up with a big fat discount as well. All right, we need to also give a big shout out to Reisenberg's rosin bags. Without them, I would not have been able to press the rosin that I put on this paper for this joint in the first place. So a big thank you and shout out to Reisenberg's rosin bags. Anytime you watch us pressing rosin, it's their bags that we're using. Next up, we got Microbial Mass. Some of you know, I've been using them on my aquaponics table grow. The bacterial strains in there, they've been really help make the phosphorus, calcium, and iron bioavailable for my plants. I appreciate that. And also the Myco Jordan, I got to give them a big shout out. I've been using them for a couple weeks now, and I transplanted a bunch of stuff from cups to 2 gallons and 1 gallons to 3 gallons, and there does seem to be a big difference in the amount of root mass in those plants in the plants that I've been using it on, with a couple control groups sitting there right beside it. Last but not least, I'd like to give a huge shout out to a new pal of mine, Buford. He's I guess you could say he's an original fan of the show. I tried doing another type of podcast not too long ago, and he'd actually reached out to me when we were doing that, just as it was coming to an end, saying he was a fan of the show, and giving me a bit of positive feedback. But anyways, I just we talk on social media very frequently, and I just want to say I really enjoy our talks that we have, and shout out to you, my good friend. So I know this is a cannabis podcast, but some of you know I'm a huge sports fan, so I got to be able to talk a little bit of sports here. I'll try and make it quick, and then we'll get back to the cannabis. So last night the Dodgers beat the Rays 6-2 to take a 2-1 series lead in that. They'll play game 4 tonight. Hopefully the Dodgers can take that one out as well, and then maybe tomorrow night or whenever game 5 happens, hopefully they'll be able to take that series. Or any fight fans out there, tonight we've got UFC 254, Khabib versus Gaethje. This should be a pretty good card. I'm not going to go through all the fights just because, like I said, this is not a sports podcast. This is a cannabis podcast, but it's my podcast more importantly, which means I can talk about whatever I want. So I'll just go through the more interesting fights real quick. So headlining the prelims, we got Stefan Struve versus Tai Tuivasa. Stefan Struve, skyscraper, he's been around a long time. He's a great fighter, but for some reason, I think I've got Tai Tuivasa on this one. Moving on to the main card, we got Alexander Volkov versus Walt Harris. Um, my first thought was to go with Alexander Volkov on this, but for some reason, I just feel like Walt Harris is going to take this one. I don't know. I'm not going to call it whether it's decision, KO, submission, or whatever. I feel like Harris has that one. The co-main event, we got Robert Whitaker versus Jared Cannonier. Now, on the last show, you heard me talk a little bit how I'm a big Robert Whitaker fan, and I was pulling for him, and I still kind of am. But you know what? We saw him lose to Israel Adesanya not too long ago, and I would love to see that rematch happen. But Jared Cannonier, he's kind of the new blood coming in. I think I'd rather see that before a rematch with Izzy and Robert Whitaker. So I think I might pull for Jared Cannonier on that, and I think he's got that one by decision. The main event, we got Khabib versus Justin Gaethje. Now I'm probably gonna get blown out of the water on this one. Khabib's probably just gonna take him down and do what Khabib does. But actually, I feel like if anybody's gonna beat Khabib, it's gonna be Justin Gaethje, and I think he's gonna knock him out in the third. That's my call on that one. Justin Gaethje knockout in the third round. Fuck my Bucks! I can't believe I said that. Tomorrow we've got some NFL action. My Raiders are playing the Bucks. Hopefully we can pull that one out. Tom Brady has ruined my life too many times to count, so he needs to lose, and he needs to lose badly. So go Raiders. Okay, so now that I've taken care of a little bit of sports, let's get on to what's going on in the garden. So last weekend I talked about the great aquaponic disaster of 2020. All my fish died. Extremely bummed out about that. It's horrible. But I've took a bunch of pictures of what the buds are looking like at that point, and so we'll put them up here so you guys can have a quick look at what they looked like. There's a lot of you that, I shouldn't say a lot of you because there's only a few of you that actually follow me on here, but there's some of you that follow me on YouTube and you don't follow me on Instagram where I'm actually posting pictures. So we'll put up a little bit of a slideshow here so you can see what the aquaponic stuff ended up looking like when it. Anyways, so the fish are gone out of that. We filled up the reservoir with a few organic nutrients, some with trying to get a little extra potassium in there, and we're just gonna basically it's like an organic hydroponic solution that we're doing. Just trying to let these things finish off. We didn't want to cut them too early, which it was like 7.5 weeks when the fish died. And so we're thinking we want to try and get them to at least 9. They'll be 8 weeks here in a couple days, and they're just not quite there. So we need to just trying to keep them going is what I'm getting at. But anyways, here's a quick slideshow of how those buds were looking. Okay, so I hope you guys like that slideshow. I think I'm gonna start doing stuff more like that as time goes on. Cause like I said, some of you guys that follow me here on the YouTube channel and you're not on Instagram because not social media is not everybody's thing. I totally get that. But anyway, so if you're not on social media, you're missing out on a lot of the pictures we're putting up. So I'm gonna start doing slideshows like that a little bit more frequently on here, I think. But anyways, I'm sorry I wasn't able to label everything. I just kind of went in there with my camera and just started taking random pictures. And there's some of them I was able to look at that plant and be like, oh yeah, okay, I fucking know exactly what that is. Like the meathead's very specific bud structure that I can recognize right off the bat. And then other ones you just like the mango. That's the only purple plant in that part of the table, so it's really easy to figure that one out. Say with silver haze. So I apologize for the random pictures, but you get the idea, and I think the aquaponics was looking good. There's definitely some proof of concept there. I think we will definitely try the aquaponics again. It's just we're gonna try it on a little bit smaller scale so that we can keep a better eye on stuff. Cause just the losing the fish, that it was just horrible. Heartbroken over that. Still kind of bummed out a week later. So if anybody's interested in getting pictures of their plants up on the show here, feel free to send them in to cariboohartorganics@gmail.com. We'll get them up on the show. If you want your name shouted out, you can include your name with that. If you'd rather remain anonymous, that's perfectly fine. We totally understand that. Not everybody wants their name and face thrown out there. Um, but the point of this show is to talk about cannabis. And while right now I'm the only one talking, I would like to get a little bit more fan interaction in this. So once again, if you've grown something that you're very proud of, or if you've made some kick-ass looking concentrates that you want to show off, send in your pictures to cariboohartorganics@gmail.com. With a quick description of what it is we're looking at. You know, like if you're growing a plant, like what strain is it that you're growing? Whatever info you want us to have to throw out there, and we'll get it out there on the show for you. All right, and then moving on from that, as you know, we've upplanted the White Widow Afghanis, or we've upsized and transplanted the White Widow Afghani F1s. They're all looking good. Hopefully we'll get some males showing themselves here pretty quick, and so we can take those out of the room, start isolating those, and start picking and choosing, see which male or males that we would like to have around. We transplanted our OG Kush, but as you know, those are very suspect. I thought the people we got the seeds from were growing from seeds. Turns out that sounds like they're growing from clone, which means that these are probably hermaphroditic or intersex seeds going on. Which makes me nervous, but the finished product, the bud that we were getting from these people is just top notch. So when I was given about 28 seeds, I think it was, I was just like, oh my god, I gotta try these. I can't not. So we're gonna move forward with those, but we're gonna be very, very careful, I guess you could say. And then I should also mention, so we had an Exodus cheese autoflower that it's starting to show hairs like it's ready to go. Now on the last show I mentioned that we pulled a male, or already identified a male of that White Widow Afghani F1s, and we isolated because it's showing autoflower traits already, right? It's still in the veg stage. We don't want it to be showing balls yet. So what I decided to do is actually I put that right next to the Exodus cheese autoflower, and just we're gonna see what happens, and we're gonna watch that, and hopefully it's actually a proper male and not just a hermaphroditic or intersexed plant that's gonna screw up my Exodus cheese autoflower. We'd like to make that kind of the beginning of our line of autoflowering genetics. And then after that, at some point in time this weekend, I've got to transplant a bunch of clones from solo cups into bigger pots for future like growing projects or the next couple of rounds, but also for a few breeding projects that we want to do. We got those White Widow Afghani males that we're going to be sorting through here in the next few weeks and keeping those around to see how they do. So, but in the meantime, we want to get some for breeding projects that we want to play around with. We got some Gorilla Skittles, we got some Meathead, some Wedding Cake, we got 3 different phenotypes of mango, we got 2 different kinds of OG Kush that we got from a completely different source than the OG Kush seeds that you just heard me talking about. So we want to keep those separate. But anyways, we got 2 different phenotypes from those that we're interested in breeding with. And then after that, we've also got some Slurricane and we've got some Super Silver Haze that we want to play around with to start making phenotypes and breeding with those. So we're going to be upsizing those into bigger pots so they can get bigger. So that way when we need to flip them and start playing with pollen, that those are ready to go. All right, so it's Sunday morning here, and just going through and doing some editing on the podcast, and we've had some sports happen since my predictions yesterday, so I'll just give you an update on exactly why it is I'm not a gambler. So my Dodgers, they ended up losing. The Rays walked it off in the ninth. Not a big surprise. The Rays have been playing some excellent baseball this year. I'm a big baseball fan, so at the very least, that means I get 2 more baseball games. It'll probably go to Game 7 anyways. Like I said, you got 2 great teams, so hopefully tonight the Dodgers can break it out and we'll take a 3-2 series lead on that one. And in UFC action, we had in the prelim main event there, Stefan Struve versus Tai Tuivasa. I called that one right. Tai Tuivasa took him down with a TKO with like 4:59 in the first round. It was as close to a walk-off as you can get. I just want to mention Philip Haas, his victory over Jacob Malkoun, 18 seconds into the first round. I believe that's the second fastest victory in a debut in the UFC. I'm not sure if it's UFC history or just that middleweight division, but they're super impressive. All right, then the Walt Harris match there, Alexander Volkov versus Walt Harris. I had Walt Harris picked on that. Didn't happen. Alexander Volkov knocked him out in the second round. Then in the co-main event there, Robert Whitaker versus Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier didn't really show up, or actually, I'm not sure if it's Jared Cannonier didn't show up or if Robert Whitaker just looked that good. Anyways, I got the decision part on that right, but Robert Whitaker won, which means I've lost on that one. Khabib, Justin Gaethje, it pretty much happened like I figured it would. Khabib he's the man. How else can you put it? He's just so hard to beat. But honestly, I figured if anybody was going to beat him, it was going to be Justin Gaethje. And if you're watching that fight, those leg kicks were starting to add up. But it's the same old story of shoulda, woulda, coulda, but he didn't. Right? About a minute into the second round, Khabib took him down, and it was real quick after that Justin Gaethje was tapping out. Anyways, Khabib, he's retired from MMA after that. And I just like to wish him all the best and say thank you because I've had a lot of fun watching your fights over the years, Khabib. And best wishes to you in all your future endeavors. And then, of course, in NFL action today, we've still got my Raiders are taking on the Bucks. I believe that's a 1 o'clock start time. Go Raiders, death to Tom Brady. That's all I can say. All right, now I can stop talking about sports. So I think I'm about to wrap this up. We've got a lot of work to do out in the garden today. It's going to be a very busy day ahead of us. But before we go, I just wanted to say if you dig what we're doing here, hit like and subscribe. Don't be afraid to share with your friends. And as long as it's looking like people are wanting to watch, we'll keep the content coming. You can get a hold of us check us out on Instagram. You can get a hold of us at Cariboo Hart Organics at gmail.com. I was talking earlier about if you want pictures or whatnot on the show, you can send those in as well. We'll get them up on the show. We want to turn this into a fan interactive experience, as you've heard me say before. anyways, I hope everybody has a great night, great rest of your weekends, and get on working on another episode for next weekend. And hopefully when the next episode comes up, I've got good news to report, and the Raiders have beaten them goddamn Buccaneers. So I think we're gonna leave you here. I had to leave town there for a couple days there last week. I had to leave town for a couple days last week, and so I think we'll leave you just with a quick video I made of me trying to pack for a couple days on the road. All right, everybody, you have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
So I got called out of town. I got to leave town here for a couple days, and I was just wondering, does anybody else ever get freaked out about what to pack and what to bring with you when you're heading out of town? It's like, oh, you never know what you're going to come up with. What's going to happen? Should I bring this? Should I bring that? Should I bring the bare minimum? Should I overpack? I don't know. And what are you going to bring with you? You know, you got to bring your socks. You got to bring your spare underwear. Okay, so I just finished packing up. So let's see what it's going to take to get me through a night on the road. Sure hope I did a good enough job. Okay, what do we got here? So we got a blowtorch to make sure that we can do our dabs. We've got our Airizer Extreme Q, so we can keep the vapes going. Let's see, we've got our trusty rolling tray. Victim of many battles it's been through, as you can tell. Battle scars all over the place. Got goodie box here. Let's see what we got here. We got good few grams of rosin there, it looks like. Gotta have the zigzags. Grinder, gotta have the grinder. Oh, that'll be some mullein in there to help take care of that stoner's cough. Spare lighters. Oh, what's this? This looks, I think that's gonna be some more rosin. Yeah, it looks like another couple grams of rosin. That's some edible oil. Gotta have that edible cannabis oil, help sleep at night. Yeah, gotta have that edible oil. It's behind door number 2. Okay. Geez, I really hope this is enough to get me through the night. Let's see what we got left over there. We got some Amherst diesel in there. Some 707 headband. Some platinum silk. Little OG Kush. Little Slurricane. Some Violator in there. I love the Violator. Cariboo area seems to love the Violator. Got my cannabis infused olive oil with chili peppers thrown in there to help give it a little bit of a spicy kick. Got some of the wife's homemade coconut oil cream here. Help with any of those aches and pains I get. And looks like we got a little bit more mullein here, because, you know, I got a pretty bad stoner's cough. Got the nectar collector. Got to be able to do the dabs on the road. What's this? Looks like we got a little bit of that OG Kush hash plant mix there from the outdoor plants that we pulled in. Oh. Gee, I sure hope that'll get me through the night.